All right, all right. We are back. It is 11:34, and it is time for Heart Talk. Time for Heart Talk. It is the time for us to renew our minds and restore our hearts. This segment of Heart Talk has been brought to you by Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, your journey to living and loving again. You can get your copy of Help. You can pre-order your copy because it will be released early May. Pre-order your copy at theheartconnections.com. I am really excited about today. I started off a little, I was down, I'm sad. The Bible tells us to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. And we're thinking about transition, and I want to talk a little bit about the resistance to transition. The resistance to transition, and I like to call it a deferment. And this is the word of the day. Actually, the word of the day was defer, and we thank you, Charleston Custom Braided Wigs, for giving us that word of the day. And when I think about transition, I look at when you defer, you put off or delay. And it looks like to defer would be a direct objection, a direct defense to transition. Because if a transition means that you are in the process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another, if you decide to defer, then you're deciding to put off or delay this period of changing from one state or condition to another. I want to encourage you wherever you are in your life right now, not to defer the transition that's taking place in your life right now. And if you want to check me out live, go to bit.ly /heart connections. And you can view me live right now if you want to tune in. I'd love to hear from you and see you and get your comments. Make sure and share that information, bit.ly /heart connections. I don't want you to defer your transition. Because I was talking to LJ, and I talked to my friend Samantha about Ramsey passing. I never got a chance to meet Ramsey, which was her friend. She spoke so highly of Ramsey, but the way she spoke about Ramsey, it made me feel like I felt like I knew him and I cared for him. And what I realized is, even in LJ's situation with her dad, I feel like both of these men knew that there was a transition taking place in their lives, and they chose not to defer. They chose not to put it off or delay it. And I want to encourage you in your life right now. You may be going through something difficult and you're trying to numb the pain. You may be facing a mountain that you are like, this is too high for me to climb. I cannot do this. I cannot overcome this. I just want to let you know that you can. You absolutely can, because you would not have come to this mountain if you could not scale it and defeat it and overcome it and do what you need to do. Mark 11, verses 24, I think 23 and 24, it talks about how you can speak to the mountain. Dr. Seuss has a quote that talks about how, today is your day. And I'm going to find that quote. And it talks about how, you have to speak to these mountains and don't try to numb it or pull away from it or try to put it off. I know I have been guilty of that. That is something that God has been working with me on. I feel like many of us are going through transition and we're rejecting it. So what happens is life is getting awkward for us. We're experiencing trouble and hard times, and things are really getting awkward. And it's like, what is really going on here? Like, why is this happening? Why does this have to be this way? Guess what? It's all a part of the process. And if you avoid the difficult part, then you're going to alter any type of positive outcome that you're looking for. A lot of times we get ourselves in so much trouble because we're trying to clean up a mess. We're trying to control the shatter. If it's already shattering, if it's already shattering, or if it's already fallen, let it fall and then figure it out. Let it fall and then figure it out. But don't try to do it ahead of time. Don't try to put it off. Don't try to dress it up. Don't try to make something look good that isn't. Deal with it the way that it is. Transition is not easy, but it's necessary. You can have certain times in your day. Shout out to Karma. I love you, Karma. Shout out to Karma listening in from Charlotte. Karma says, she sent me the quote from Dr. Seuss, guys, because I was trying to find it. I love y'all. Gosh, y'all have my back. I love y'all so much. Thank you, Karma. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. All right? Just that simple. That's why I love Dr. Seuss. Today is your day. That's why your mountain is waiting. So you want to put it off. You don't want to have that difficult conversation. You don't want to cut those ties, or you don't want to start something new. You don't want to invest in something again because you lost that time before. You got hurt that time before. They stabbed you in your back that time before. Let me tell you something. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if those things happen. You know why? Because it was a part of the process that had to happen for you to transition or change from one state to another. That had to happen for you to mature the way that you need to mature. That had to happen for you to forgive those that you need to forgive. Do you know that some of the mess that you may be going through in your life right now is because you were very critical and judgmental of somebody else that went through it, and you didn't have a clear understanding of why they did what they did, but you judged them unfairly? Sometimes we don't realize. Listen, Galatians tells us, Apostle Paul wrote it. He said, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. Don't think you're going to be out here planting grape seeds and you about to get apples off this tree. No, you're just going to get grapes. If you out here sowing negativity, or if you're out here being very pretentious, or if you're the type of person that you have all of these reasons why you can't do what you need to do, don't be surprised when things don't come through for you. When people don't work, things don't work out for you, and when people don't go that extra mile for you, because you're not investing that in. Why? Because you're deferring. You're trying to put it off to a later time. You're trying to postpone it. And we need to deal with why we often want to defer things. We need to deal with that. And I'm going to tell you why I think we often want to defer things. We want to put them off. Those people who laugh and joke, I'm a procrastinator. I have to stop procrastinating. You're not a procrastinator. No, you're not. But what you are doing is you're wrestling with the truth about what you're doing. Is this really going to matter? Is this worth my time, my energy, or my effort? Will I get back in return what I have given to this? Sometimes we put things off because we're not sure of the return we're going to get. Oh, I'll go to the grocery store at some point. Yeah, of course, you know you need groceries. But the problem is the motivation isn't there because you're not being fulfilled in other areas. So if you're not being fulfilled in other areas, then what's the big deal about doing this? Follow me now. A lot of times we're putting things off because we're walking around very apathetic. We're very lackluster. We're not excited about life because we've been disappointed too much. Our hearts are broken. See, that's why I wrote this new book. I wrote this new book because I realized that, see, people think, well, I don't need help from a broken heart. I'm fine. I'm happy in my relationship with my husband, or I'm happily single. I'm fine. Okay, I get that. But what about the other areas of your life? How are you about going and pursuing your dreams? How are you still talking yourself out of pushing yourself to the limits and doing what you need to do? Deferring. Are you putting off for tomorrow what absolutely needs to be done today? And you're not putting that off because you're just a procrastinator. No, you're putting that off because of the fear. And I don't think it's always a fear of not doing well or not succeeding. I think many of us are dealing with the fear of what happens if I scale this mountain and I reach the top, then what? Then what would I do? I think many of us are rejecting our success. So when we put off things, when we lack to take those steps, when we defer from transitioning, what happens is what we're saying is, I don't believe in I'm afraid of what's to come. I'm trying to hold back what's the inevitable to come. And what happens is you hold it back so long to what you need to deal with is now dealing with you. That's why we have to have these difficult conversations in relationships. That's why we have to take those steps. I talked yesterday about that grit scale, that doctor from the University of Pennsylvania. I posted it on the Heart Connections page on Facebook as well. And one of the things that she said will help us overcome and really be successful in life is we have to be willing to do the little things, pay attention to the details, and be committed to doing those things even when we don't see an immediate return. And see, many of us are resisting the transition. Mr. Scott, God bless his soul, LJ's dad, he didn't resist because he knew he did what he needed to do. It was time for him to go on. Ramsey didn't defer. Ramsey was bringing light to dark places. I mean, so much light to I didn't even meet him physically, but I met him. He didn't defer. So he was able to transition on. And many of us, it's not time for us to transition to another realm of existence, meaning from this life to life after death, death in this body as we know it. But it's time for us to transition and stop deferring. It's time for us to move into the new mindsets and the new thought processes and the new ideas, the newness of who you are. And guess what? It's always been in you. It's always been in you. And we're going to talk about that at the 12:30 hour. We're going to talk a little bit about spiders. We're going to talk about how spiders deal with transition and what we're talking about today. And this has been Heart Talk with your heart coach, Adelai Brown, right here on kinetichifi.com. Make sure you're not deferring your greatness. Don't put it off. That thing looks scary, but I can promise you, it's going to work out for your good. Trust me on that. I wouldn't lie to you on that one. That I believe. You can bet your bottom dollar. I'll put my money on it. We'll be back with more. Make sure you pre-order your copy of Help Save Me from My Broken Heart at theheartconnections.com. In the meantime, let's get it going with some Chaka Khan right here on kinetichifi.com. Heart Connections.